Ask the average British driver what their car costs them, and they'll give you one number: £300 a month, maybe a little more. That's the figure that leaves the bank account on finance day. So that's the figure that sticks in the mind. It feels honest, it feels complete, and it is almost entirely wrong. Because the true cost of keeping a car on the road in Britain in 2026 isn't £300 a month. For a typical family car, it's often double that. Sometimes a good deal more. Today we're going to add up every single pound that the forecourt, the insurer, the taxman, and the silent thief of depreciation quietly take from you. And by the end, I promise you, the real number is going to sting. Let's start where most people start, the finance deal. Around 4 out of every 5 new cars in Britain are bought on PCP, personal contract purchase. And it is seductive by design. You don't pay for the car, you pay for the slice of value it loses while you drive it, and then you hand it back at the end. The monthly figure looks gentle, the total most certainly does not. Take a £30,000 car, put down a £3,000 deposit, sign up for 60 months at around 8 or 9% APR, and you'll be looking at monthly payments of roughly £430. But waiting at the end of that agreement is the balloon payment, the lump sum you must hand over if you actually want to own the thing, of around £11,000. Now add it all together, the deposit, every single monthly payment, and that final balloon, that £30,000 car has just cost you nearly £39,000. Close to £9,000 gone in interest and fees alone. That is the price of borrowing against a machine that is losing value every single day that you own it. Then there's insurance, and here is where 2026 gets strange. After the brutal spike of recent years, when the average premium climbed to nearly £1,000, prices have actually been easing. The typical comprehensive policy now sits somewhere around £600 a year. Good news? Well, sort of. Because easing is not the same word as cheap. If you live in London, the average is closer to £800. If you're a young driver, anywhere from 17 to 24 years old, you're looking at well over £1,000, often closer to £1,100. And if you switch to electric thinking you'd save a fortune, your premium is around £700, against roughly £560 for the petrol equivalent, simply because an EV costs so much more to repair. And here's the warning, the headlines are burying. The experts say those falls are now slowing right down. With oil prices climbing again and repair costs rising, the relief you've been feeling at renewal time may be about to run out. Insurance isn't surging this very moment, but it never went back to being affordable, and the pressure for it to climb all over again is quietly building. Now for the cost that nobody ever sends you a bill for. The single biggest expense of owning a car isn't the fuel, it isn't the insurance, it isn't even the tax. It's depreciation, the value quietly leaking out of your driveway while you sleep. A brand new car typically loses around 20% of its value in the first 12 months. On that same £30,000 car, that is £6,000, vanished before it's even had its first birthday. By year 3, it's shed closer to 40%. And you never see this money leave. There's no direct debit, no red letter, no warning light on the dashboard. But the day you come to sell, the gap between what you paid and what you actually get back is the most expensive thing you've ever spent without ever noticing. Depreciation is the thief that picks your pocket while you stand there admiring the paintwork. So let's talk about filling up. As of the middle of 2026, petrol sits at around 158 pence a litre, pushed higher by conflict in the Middle East, squeezing global supply. Fill a typical tank, and you're handing over close to £80, just like that. So surely the electric drivers are laughing? Well, it depends entirely on where they plug in. Charge at home overnight, on a cheap tariff, and a full battery can cost as little as £3 or £4, around 2 pence a mile. That is the dream the adverts sell you. But pull into a motorway services and use a rapid charger, and you'll be paying around 76 to 79 pence per kilowatt hour. That very same charge now costs you around £40 and works out at roughly 23 pence a mile, within touching distance of petrol. So the electric saving is real, but only if you have a driveway. If you rely on the public hubs, you've simply swapped the forecourt for the charging bay, and the bill barely changes at all. Now, the costs hidden in plain sight, the ones the state writes directly into law. First, vehicle excise duty, your road tax, which rose again this April to a standard £200 a year for most cars. Pay it monthly, and it climbs to £210, and And electric cars, by the way, no longer escape it. That exemption is gone for good. Then, the MOT. That annual test of whether your car is even legal to be on the road, capped at £54.85 before a single repair is so much as mentioned. And then there are the zones. In London, drive a non-compliant car into the ultra-low emission zone, and it's £12.50 every single day. In Birmingham, £8 a day. In Bristol, £9 a day. And uniquely, that one applies even if you simply live inside the boundary. And up in Glasgow, there's no daily charge at all. Instead, a non-compliant car is effectively banned outright, with a £60 penalty if you dare to drive it in. And these zones are spreading, not shrinking. The map of where your older car is actually welcome gets a little smaller every year that passes. And then comes the slow, steady drip of upkeep. A standard service runs to around £300 a year. A set of 4 premium tyres, £500 to £600. And they certainly don't last forever. Brake pads, wiper blades, and the odd warning light that quietly turns itself into a 4-figure invoice. And don't you dare forget the parking tax, the residence permit, just for the privilege of leaving your car outside your own home. And the city centre charges every time you actually drive the thing somewhere useful. None of these are large on their own, but together, they are a constant, steady bleed. So let's add it all up. The true monthly cost of a standard family car in Britain in 2026. Your finance, carrying both the depreciation and the interest, around £430. Your insurance, around £55 a month. Your fuel, around £120. Road tax, the MOT, and servicing together, roughly £50. Tyres and consumables, another £20. And the city charges, the permits, and the parking, anywhere from £40 to £80. Add every one of those together, and the number lands comfortably over £750 a month. £750 for the very same car you were convinced was costing you £300. That is £9,000 a year after tax, disappearing into a machine that sits parked on the curb, doing absolutely nothing for 9/10 of its entire life. So here is the question worth sitting with for a moment. A car gives you freedom, the open road, the unplanned trip, the simple independence of going where you like, when you like. That has real, genuine value. And for a great many of us, it is worth every single penny. But somewhere along the way, a lot of us quietly stopped buying transport and started buying status. More car than we needed, on more finance than we should have signed. Losing more value than we'll ever admit to out loud. The road offers you freedom, but the finance, the depreciation, and the endless bills offer you an anchor. And the real skill, the genuinely wealthy skill, is knowing exactly which one of those you're actually paying for. Be honest with yourself about that, and the car becomes a tool that quietly serves your life. Get it wrong, and you'll spend the next 5 years working to serve the car. Drive safe, and drive smart. Did you learn something from this video? If yes, like and hit subscribe. See you in the next video.